So first of all, thanks a lot for being here today. We are going to be hosting a panel about open source. We have a couple of guys with us and 2 girls. It's really interesting what they have to say, so please pay attention. Now, today with us, we have Leslie Tilling. She's been working with MageX, a new project that's going to come out really soon, if that's not today.
Officially tomorrow.
Officially tomorrow, she said. So yeah, she's been working with Magento and Adobe Company for a while. She's manager and technical writing, and you can find her on Twitter at Leslie Tilling. We also have BJ. She's with Magento with Brent. He's also a Magento master, just like me, and he's also a VP of development. Tree has been working with DevDocs for a while. She's one of the main point of contacts. She's incredible, so if you need anything, she'll be the one. She's been with Adobe for a while too, and she's a senior writer. And we have Alexi, one of my guys. She's actually the senior manager at Community Engineering and the head of open source. So if you ever need anything, or if you have any issues with Magento 2, don't ask me, ask Alexi. And there's me, I'm with Nexus. We have really nice shirts. Our swag is way, way better this year, so swing by our booth. You'll find something for you for sure. I'll be the one hosting and doing the questions, and they'll be the one talking actually. Now, I'm gonna start with some questions. I think we'll have some time later for some audience questions too, but this is gonna be really interesting, so stay tuned. Now, let's start with something really simple. We are working in open source these days. Open source projects are way different than proprietary code, and I want to know, what do you guys think and what's your prior experience working in open source projects? It's okay if you don't have any. I just want to know, and I want you to know too, what's going on right now.
Yeah, I believe I can start. I'm working for Magento for so many years that probably don't remember what was before. But I can probably separate my experience like on 2 phases. Magento was like open sourced back 2013, 14, and etc. But we were doing really like a poor open sourcing stuff at that time. And started 2017 when we launched like a community engineering team. I would say this is the phase or period for me when Magento open source is in much more better condition.
Absolutely.
Hi, oh good, you can hear me. I did not have a lot of experience in open source. I had used open source tools myself to do my own job. I had worked with developers that had incorporated some open source into their product line in various ways, but one of the things that really attracted me to come over to Magento was the open source, the community, and actually being able to do docs as open source was extremely, exciting. I thought that was such a dynamic, highly collaborative thing to do, that was one of the reasons why I came over to Magento about 10 months ago.
Nice, yeah, everything changed. Like the experience you used to have with Magento 1 is completely the opposite than the experience we have now. And it's really interesting to see how's that being worked at the moment.
I don't have a lot of experience with open source. I went back to school to learn technical writing. I was in another career, another industry, and there was a Mozilla open source project that I joined just to try to get some more experience. It was really poorly run and not very supported, so I quit. And I started using Git and trying to learn Git on my own. I got a contract job at Atlassian, and then that's kind of what propelled me into learning Git more. And then I just interviewed at Magento, and it happened to be a good fit, and I've been there almost 2 years now.
I have experience in Magento like by born, like from 2009. And initially I was thinking that Magento is just open source. Then after I came to know that enterprise version is also available. And then after, like with Magento 2, there are different other open source projects also they have. So I have experience with the open source project.
Right. So you all know what open source looks like nowadays, but how do you think it compares to like a regular project, something you work and it's not open source? Would that be any difference? Do you think the processes are the same? For me, it's really interesting because I do have a little open source background and I'm really used to it. And the second I go back to like a proprietary code project, it's kind of weird. It feels really weird, like not having the openness to see how the choices were made or like who made what. So I think this question is really interesting and I would like to know what you think.
Yeah, so it makes difference. Like when we are doing a job in an agency, at that time you have your deadline also and your project priority also. But at the same time, like you have like a 10 people, 20 people, or 50 people team. But when you work on an open source project, then you have 1,000 people big team, and then you have the very good experience that how to deal and what kind of contribution and all these things you can do. So that makes difference for me.
I find that from the doc's perspective, you get less direct control. So that's the big difference for us. We, I think, kind of make some admissions for other things like style, type of content, how we would frame something, how we would document it in order to get that collaboration and to work with the community. So in a way, you lose some, you win some. It's a really good balance, and it helps us get I think, the most appropriate and useful content.
I would agree completely with what Shri just said. As we're just about to launch the merchant docs in an open source project, prior to this, it was highly proprietary. I mean, even within Magento, it was proprietary. There were only about 3 writers that could touch the system at all. It was a very expensive proprietary tool set. The source code files were not very well designed. They were very brittle. It was really hard to collaborate on them even within our own team. So in having to rethink all that to move into the open source project where it's simplify, make it easy for people to collaborate. And that level of transparency that we know that we want to adopt. So that's something that we're really looking forward to do. Even though we've already migrated over to a markdown system, we still have more simplification work to do in our source code files, which we're hoping people can help us with. So we're really looking forward to that. And I think once I've gone down this road this far with open source, I don't even think I'd ever want to go back to a proprietary model.
Yeah, that's one of the things I see the most. Like, it's really way easier to collaborate in an open source project because the ramp up is like minimal. And when you come to a proprietary project, you have like 10 things to do before you can commit or like submit a pull request, which we do. We do have the same in Magento 2 right now, for example, like the guidelines, the templates and everything, but it's still way easier to like just go to a company and like start collaborating. What do you think, Alexi?
Yeah, like in terms of open source and proprietary projects, I would say that on proprietary projects, you have like your internal team is closed, your project is closed, you can do whatever you want. The only goal you have is just to deliver it and deploy and run on production. That's another thing. So you can experiment with your team, you can experiment with your technologies, flow, with the way how you work. You can put some different requirements in terms of the things that you're doing and change it when needed. So you can do lots of moves here. On the one side, that's good. On the other side, there is no guarantee that you're doing something right, because you're doing this product not for yourself, but for someone in terms of Magento. And definitely you should make sure that the things that you are doing right, and the users of your platform will get exactly that they are looking for. On the other side, on the open source thing, you cannot do such big and significant jumps and going back and forth. Every significant change in your project, in your technologies, in your processes, in your requirements will affect